Hey, what's going on, guys? Short Fuse here, and today we're going to be taking a look at fighting games to look forward to in the near future. Now, these are all going to be confirmed titles with release dates, for the most part, so no speculation or guessing. These are all games that are currently in development and are set to release in the 2014-2015 window, hopefully. Now, before we begin, let me remind you that these are all games that I personally look forward to, so there's not going to be any Killer Instincts, Mortal Kombat, Tekkens, or Smash Brothers games on this list. It's not my cup of tea. Alright, well, let's get it started. First, let's start with a game that I've been following very closely for a long time, Legend of Raven. It was supposed to be released in the fourth quarter of 2014, or at least so it said on the website, but sadly it never happened. I tried contacting the developers regarding the status of the game, but no luck. So it just lay dormant for a year or so. And since they didn't even bother to change the release date on the website, I figured the project was dead. However, at this year's E3, they had a demo of it for the PlayStation Vita. And last month, I finally heard that there was a playable Xbox version of it at some pre-PAX Microsoft event or something. Now, this franchise has been around for quite a while, under the name Yatagarasu, but it was PC exclusive. That alienated a lot of players, including myself. So this is going to be the first time it ventures on home consoles in its new incarnation known as Legend of Raven. And what it is basically a very, very traditional fighting game. From the combo system, to its pace, to the physics, and right down to its hand-drawn 2D art style, with sprites that are very reminiscent of King of Fighters, and for good reason, since former SNK illustrator Kotani Tomoyuki has done the sprite work, and a lot of people involved in the development are former SNK employees. Some people say it reminds them of Street Fighter 3, mainly because it has a parry system, which is awesome, but sadly you parry by pressing the face button instead of forward. So it's more like the guard attack in KOF 12 in that aspect. The game will be out on Xbox One, PS Vita, PS4, and some sources say PS3 as well. And it's going to have cross-play features for these three platforms. Meaning, if you have the game on PS3, you can play against people who have it on PS4 and Vita, and vice versa. It's also going to be cross-buy. So I guess that if you buy it on one system, it will also work on all the others. I guess, I don't know. Now that's not exactly great news, because to me that makes it sound like it's going to be a digital release only, and I really, really hate that. We're going to have to wait and see on this one. Don't be fooled by the title being virtually unchanged, except for the addition of Ultimax at the end. I would classify this one more like a brand new game than a simple update. 8 new playable characters, bringing the cast to a total of 21. That's very solid. And many of them have the ability to play as shadow counterparts of themselves. These shadow variants have improved special attack properties at the cost of weaker normals and defenses. However, they gain the Shadow Rampage technique, which replaces Burst. It's my understanding that the Shadow Rampage functions similarly to the Exceed mode in SVC Chaos or the Hyperdrive mode in KOF 13. During this short time, you'll probably be able to free cancel and have infinite meter, until the mode is active, of course. Also, the story is brand new and is divided into 2 separate campaigns for the Persona 3 and Persona 4 characters. And since the game is based off of an RPG, I'm sure this story matters to people way more than it does in other fighting games. Out in Japan since August 28th of this year, and in America since September 30th, Persona 4 Arena Ultimax will hit stores in Europe on November 21st, 2014. If you've been looking for a reason to get a PS4, here it is. The first true next-gen traditional 2D fighting game title. Guilty Gear skipped the 7th generation of consoles and was replaced by its spiritual successor, BlazBlue. But now it's back with pioneering technology that through the use of ArcSoft magic makes 3D models closely resemble sprites. Now I already talked about what this means for 2D fighting games as a whole. With 3D models looking more and more like sprites, we're going to be seeing a lot of developers trying to bite this technique, which means more games, more characters, more costumes, and more of everything, since 3D is much easier, cheaper, and faster to produce compared to sprites. Cell shading is nothing new though. It's been around for a while, but this game took it one step further, and it can only get better from here on out. Coming out holidays 2014, with no release date set yet for Europe, however it's coming. Guilty Gear Xrd is a must-have if you own a PS4. If not, this will be a good time to get one. The only problem is the PS4 does not support PS3 fight sticks. So to play this game, you're going to have to buy a new one. The upcoming PS4 sticks that are probably going to be available by the time Xrd hits stores are the Ultra Street Fighter 4 madcatz stick and the Hori V4. No official word yet from Combo. However, they did have a prototype next-gen stick at a trade show. It looked very spacey. There is some USB dongle-like adapter that allegedly lets you plug a PS3 stick into the PS4's USB port, but from what I've seen, it's far from reliable. It's my understanding that the PS4 only accepts peripherals through Bluetooth, so the stick would have to be wireless, which is a terrible idea. But Sony is probably going to fork over a patch that will unlock its ports for use with USB sticks. But this will also open the doors for hacks that will let people use PS3 sticks, which would directly infringe on the sales of next-gen PS4 fight sticks. Guess we have to wait and see. This is basically an update of Vanilla Arcana Heart 3. It came out last year in Japanese arcades on the X board, which is Xemu's proprietary system. The home console port came out this May, but only in Japan, so it's not exactly new. However, the American and European releases are coming out September 23rd and November 21st respectively. I've had a lot of expenses lately, so I skipped on the Japanese version. I'm just waiting for the Western release, so I'm kinda excited. Now, depending on how big of an Arcana Heart fan you are, this game can either be a big deal or nothing to write home about. What it brings to the table is mainly gameplay rebalancing, a trial mode, score attack, and in addition to the story mode, which is scenes from the mobile phone exclusive Arcana Heart game Card of Glory. I'm also assuming they've done some improvements on the netcode. Sadly, there's no new characters added to the roster or any game-changing new mechanics like in Ultra Street Fighter 4, so manage your expectations on this one. Hardcore Arcana Heart fans are going to be pleased though, because updates like these tend to revitalize a game and keep it relevant. And it brings in new players that might have overlooked a particular game in the past, but now they have an excuse to get into the franchise with this latest release. You know how it works. An anime fighter in the style of Shinko Muso, Phantom Breaker, and Aquabatsa, by developers E. coli and French Bread, the same folks behind Melty Blood. And as a matter of fact, this game actually started off as a next-gen Melty Blood game. I know a lot of people who have been eagerly waiting for a sequel, so you might be disappointed, but this spiritual successor of sorts is going to have to do for now. Now here we see a very familiar pattern again. The game came out in Japanese arcades in 2012, came out on home consoles in July 2014, but only in Japan, and now we need to wait till 2015 for a Western release. And then they wonder why we all want to live in Japan. Anyways, the game looks great, the characters look interesting, and since it's all based on a graphic novel, we can expect some wacky and over-the-top storylines, which are a nice touch to complement what seems like very solid gameplay. Now, the Japanese PS3 release got a 29 out of 40 from Famitsu, but you know, these publications, they don't always know what the fuck they're talking about. However, I didn't play the game yet, so I can only judge it on what I've seen and read about it. And trust me, it all looks and sounds great. If you got some extra money laying around, get yourself the Japanese version, because the American release will happen in 6 months. And the European release hasn't even been given a specific date yet. However, it'll be out sometimes in 2015, maybe summer. This one's a bit of a wild card and a bit of a stretch. It's a fighting game for the Sega Ring Edge that's going to be out in Japanese arcades later this year. It's anime style 3D models on a 2D plane with tag mechanics. There's not much information on this game yet, so I'm not sure if it's tag assist system similar to Striker system in KOF 99, 2000 and 2001, or a true tag in, tag out system like KOF 2003 and 11, or Marvel vs. Capcom. We'll see. Anyway, the characters are from the Shining series of RPG, which I know nothing about, but I think it looks interesting. It kind of reminds me of the Rumblefish for some reason. There hasn't been any official talk of a home console release yet, but I got a feeling that there might be a Japanese port in late 2015 and a Western release in 2016. Yeah, I promise no speculations, but you know, I indulged. Anyways, guys, this is going to be it for the 2014-2015 lineup of traditional 2D fighting games. We have some rehashes, some brand new franchises, and some old classics that got brought back from their slumber. I'd say it's looking pretty good for 2D fighting game fans at the moment. I'm definitely hyped for some of this stuff. Sadly, it looks like there's definitely not going to be a KOF this year. It also looks like the next KOF is going to be Maximum Impact 3, so yeah. Gotta get my kicks somewhere else. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.